If you've made it in, you're in the right place. This is the Successful Bookkeepers Association Facebook Live, and I'm Allison, and I'm going to be leading you through attracting and retaining premium clients. So I think we're going to start at the top of the hour. So you're in the right place. Grab your coffee. I've got mine here, and just relax for a few minutes. You will need a pad of paper. So have something to write on so because we've got some exercises that we're going to take you through as part of this presentation. So just relax, get into the groove. You're in the right place. I'll just let everybody kind of start streaming in here. We're going to start right at the top of the hour. So this is kind of like the just chat part of it where I'm just chatting with myself. Trying not to be too goofy actually if you really want the the real story. But this is a topic I'm super excited about because, well, I'm not going to give you any hints or, give away the show here, but there are a lot of things that you kind of need to know down the line that are changing. And so we're going to cover some of these things that are changing that are going to hit you like a freight train and also help you just understand how your firm thinks about premium clients and what you can do. So I'm excited. Folks, if you're just joining us now, you're in the right place. Um, we're going to get started at the top of the hour. And this is the Successful Bookkeepers Association presentation guided by Licio, which is the firm I work for. And we're going to cover attracting and retaining premium clients. So you are in the right place. Grab your coffee or your tea or, well, gosh, if it's after 5, alcoholic beverage, go for it. For me, my coffee of choice is my beverage of choice is coffee, and I'm using an Ember mug. I don't know if you guys have those. They're amazing. Keeps your coffee hot. All right, so I've got my little elves on the back end. Let me know when we're going live. I've got Reagan and Dave on the back end. I don't know whether we'll just have a voice from God coming in saying, "Okay, we're going to get started." All right, so we're at the top of the hour. Dave, are you all right if we get going?
You're good to start, Allison.
We're good to start. Thank you, Reagan. Reagan is my wizard behind the curtain. She's going to be helping me with questions. So if you do have questions, make sure you're putting them in because we'd love this to be really interactive. All right. So I am super excited, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and get started. We are going to cover today quite a lot of information. And what I love to do, and I will introduce myself in a minute, but what I love to do is to get people right into the meat of it and think about, first of all, what your premium client looks like. And it turns out that your perfect client might vary completely from everyone else's. And this is a really good thing because it's a really big world out there and there's lots of strokes for different folks. So you're going to want to really take advantage of that and lean into the types of clients that you feel are premium. And here's some things that you can think of as we go through this presentation, just kind of your framing, just to sort of frame up um, relationships and working with nice people. It's always important. It's always super important. But the business side of things has to be balanced as well. So if you have a really nice group of nice clients, they're really nice and you really like them, but they don't pay you, you will quite shortly be out of business unless you're independently wealthy. That's a different issue. So focusing on the business side is really important. However, the converse is really true as well. If you have clients that constantly pay you, they're profitable, but every day you feel like your soul is being sucked out of your body one drop at a time because they're nasty or they don't fit with your personal values, or you have to chase them constantly for what they need to give you, it's just not going to be worth it anymore. The money just isn't worth it. So there's a balance to strike. And then In all of this, it's also it's also important to focus on what you need. And so when you define your premium client, you're really going to want to look at your current practice, and I recommend bucketing them, putting them into groups of clients. Like, and you can probably go down your client list, you know them pretty well, and you can go down your client list and rate them on these different dimensions. So profitability, how how much do you have to work for that client versus what you're being paid? Hopefully, most of you are on um, value pricing and you are being paid per the value that you're delivering versus the hours that you're working. Totally other topic. Ron Baker's got some great stuff, Mark Wickersham as well. Um, but you want to make sure that you are making a profit. Client responsiveness, super important, because if you have a client that is, again, they're paying your bills, but you literally have to go, like, you feel like you've got to wrestle them to the ground and get them to give you what they need. That's not good for you and it's not good for them. So, are they responsive? Do they value what you're asking for and do they understand why they need to send it? There's also a concept of fit for your firm. So, the industry. Is it an industry that you enjoy working with? Do you have a niche? That's apologies to the people who say niche. Um, and what about personality? There are some people that you just really like working with, and there's others that you don't. So you really need to think about that fit in terms of the industry, the niche, and the personality. And then, of course, there's do they pay you? So when you define who you like to work with and who makes good money sense, you start to really think about you start to balance that the business side and also the personal side, and the two start to really come together. So I'm going to challenge you to do that. And then you also want to think about in all of this, how do you want to work? So what would your day feel like? Let's imagine that you had all these things were true. You had everything you need to do your job, all the paperwork, all the answers to your questions, everything. And clients are sending the documents in when you ask for them. You don't have to chase, you don't have to email them, you don't have to hunt in various different places. Um, and staff can see across the status. If it's just you, then it's a little simpler. But if you have a team, you need to make sure that your team can see what's going on with each client, no matter who just dealt with them last. And your firm is not only retaining these great clients, but they're also referring others to you. And it might sound too good to be true, but it is very achievable. And it hinges on the experience. Well, it hinges on a couple things. One is being quite, intentional about what kind of clients you want. And then the second thing, being very intentional about the experience that you offer your clients in working with your firm. And it's a surprisingly easy thing to fix, the client experience side, because once you nail that, you are going to be able to attract and retain those right clients for your firm, the really premium ones who value your time, treat you well, are profitable and you like working with, and who are, responsive. And so it's a circle of goodness. So that's the vision that I want to have in your mind as you go through this presentation, is that this is achievable and you have everything you need. You might have one gap in your offerings. You might have one gap, and we're going to cover that at the end. So before I get too deep in, just want to kind of give you an idea of why I'm so passionate about this topic. Um, if I haven't been working in the accounting, actually doing it, I have actually been working on behalf or with accountants and bookkeepers. So the passion that I have for the industry runs very, very deep. And if you notice, from 2000 to 2004, I actually was I led a large bookkeeping team. We did the outsource accounting for a pretty large CPA firm, and we had about 150 clients at that time, and they were all on QuickBooks. And I just loved it. But I think back, things were a little simpler at the turn of the century. Funny to say that, 2000. Things were a little simpler because we did have everybody coming pretty much into the office, or so we were struggling with kind of the paperless thing then, but we didn't have the cacophony of different places that clients could send data in and the different ways that they could do it, and the noise factor was significantly reduced. So I'm very much in the empathy Um, I really am very empathetic towards the busy lives that you're leading, and I want to do everything that I can to help you have a better life. So let's talk about what clients are looking for. So you've covered the basics so far. You're now thinking about your perfect premium client and your perfect day. So let's go a bit deeper and now look at what today's and the near future clients are looking for. Because you're going to have to solve this. It's a two-sided problem. You know what you need and what you want, but you really have to factor in what your clients need and what they want. And there's a really important shift that's coming up. And it's basically on us. It's right on top of us. And it turns out that the actual demographic of your client base is shifting. And they now expect to interact with you in very different ways. Now, some of the folks on this call, probably a good number of them are millennials. And so you'll be like, why is she telling us this? Why do we need to know this? Um, I think if you're hearing this, then you're farther ahead than most people. If you are a millennial and you're on this call, you already know all of this. Maybe there'll be a couple nuggets that you'll learn. But for the folks that are Gen X or young boomers, this you really need to pay attention to this because one of the biggest things to be aware of is that the millennials are they're here. They're in their true power. The oldest millennial, depending on the year that you choose, they're either 40 or 42. And so these are not kids. These are not, you know, these are the people that are making the full decisions. They're a force to be reckoned with and they're highly entrepreneurial. They are the fastest growing segment of small business owners in North America in terms of starting their own or buying an established business. But that's not all. They also have a tremendous amount of power when it comes to spending and making decisions. Millennial owned businesses have a collective spending power that now exceeds $150 billion in the US. I don't know what the Canadian number is, but I'm imagining I'm imagining it's still a big number. And in the US alone, there are more than 78 million millennials. And by 2025, they're going to be 75% of the workforce, and they're going to be making the majority of the decisions of all the business to business, the B2B decisions, including who they choose for their accounting firm. But there's this wave coming, and 2025 is only 2 years and a couple of months away. And I tell you, it's going to go super fast. So here's what you kind of need to understand about the the approach, kind of the DNA, if you will, of millennials. They are tech savvy. They are conscientious. They want all the information to be available at their fingertips and they shop around and they read reviews. So if they choose you, what that actually means is that they've actually done their homework. They've gone to your website, they like what they saw, they checked out your social reviews, they were like, yep, those are good. But what actually happens when you start to work with these millennial small business owners? And unfortunately, that's where some of these firms stumble. And the reason is that these really tech savvy um, clients they just assume that you're going to have mobile. Their phones are literally it's just they never are without their phones. And if they can't do things on their phones, that it thwarts their sort of innate drive to hustle. Um, and mobile access is just considered table stakes. So you'll hear things like, "Do you have an app?" I didn't check my email. You'll hear these sorts of things from these clients, um, and they hate email. So email is going to be like the last thing they're going to want to do. And they also many of them don't own printers or scanners. So with this in mind, why are many firms using technology that was coded in the 90s, which is so long ago now? It's like it feels like it's only 10 years ago, maybe to some people, but it's 30 years ago. And they're using this to communicate, um, to request documents and communicate with clients. So you've got this gap. You've got this flood of clients that are coming in, and then you hit them with this. And so um, email is easy to use, but you have to ask yourself, does it give the results that you want? Do clients respond on the first time? And there's just so many issues with emails that I don't think any of you can claim that your bulk of your clients are responding on the first email you send. And if you are getting that response, then I think you're a unicorn, honestly. Um, and portals are not known for their user experience, and you know this because you're actually lucky. 40% adoption is considered a high adoption rate of a portal. And the rest of your clients are going to be sending in things using various creative ways. And that's after you or your staff have asked repeatedly for the documents. And this is actually causing your firm to waste a lot of money in terms of it's just wasted productivity, confusion, and I think pretty major stress for people in the firm because it means everything gets crunched into the deadline periods because clients will act when there's a really serious deadline and a risk of a penalty, but they tend to think, oh, we've got lots of time. You know, the tax return isn't due until whatever date. We got lots of time. So, um, but this is what it's actually costing. And this is an Accounting Web US stat from May of 2021. I don't think it's changed in the year and a bit that, we're now in 2022, but I don't think it's changed. And accountants and bookkeepers are spending up to 40% of their time searching for and gathering client documents. And this is a frustrating experience for both you and the client. So, and it's just, you can all do the math. It's just an insane stat. It means for every 10 hours worked, 4 are wasted on non-value add frustrating work. And this is going to add up to potentially 800 hours per year per staff person. So you just do the math in your head. If you have a firm and it's just you, what what would you do with an extra 800 hours? Well, gosh, I know what I'd do if I had an extra 800 hours. I'd work out more, first of all. I'd probably get more done, and I think I'd just have a better life. So, and if you're struggling with this number, you can drop it down to 10%. That's fine. 10 if you're saying no way, no way, no way. Okay, it's still a ton of time. Because what if every staff person wasted 200 hours per year? Okay, that's 10% of your time. That's 5 weeks of time gone. And that's assuming you're working a 40-hour week, but we probably working more than that. But it means that your firm cannot take on more clients without adding staff. It means you waste time that could have gone towards advising your clients. You're just wasting it on chasing and looking for documents. It means late nights during the really peak season, the busy time. And it means that no one in your firm, or if it's just you, it means you can't actually sit down and just do your work without, it's just frustrating. It's stressful. And then the other thing is, think back to the millennials. They're really conflict averse. So they're not actually going to tell you why they're leaving your firm. They just go ahead and find another firm that meets your needs. And you might actually find out that, you know, Reagan, Reagan's not a millennial, she's a Z. But you might just find out that your millennial client has left your firm because you get a request from the new bookkeeper. Can you send the records over? And you're like, wait, what? So if that's ever happened to you, it's because the millennials are just not going to be confrontational. So I hope I've painted a really, really good picture. What if you ask this way instead? So I'm going to start to introduce why Liscio is so passionate about this topic and why it's a really good option for you to look at. So given that 75% of your clients are going to be millennial in the near future, and everyone, doesn't matter what age you are, everyone is going to be, appreciates an easy experience. Um, you It really behooves you to look at how you're asking your clients to interact with you. And the wonderful thing is that all boats rise, and there's huge benefits for your clients, but there's way more benefits for you. So let's talk about the best practices for an awesome client experience. And to attract and retain premium clients, you really have to wow them at every stage. And what's going to be happening down the line, there's inklings and rumors of a recession. Um, People are going to be competing for the premium clients. The bad clients are probably going to be released from many firms. And so there'll be lots of bad clients for you to get. If you are happy and you can make it work with subpar clients, then you don't have to worry about work. There's going to be lots of work. Um, But if you want the premium clients, the ones that you really want to work with, the ones we talked about earlier, then you're really going to have to up your game. And I want to make one thing really, really clear. When we talk about experience, we're not talking about your service offerings. And this is really important for you to understand because I would hazard a guess that your services are excellent. And we know that because you literally wouldn't have a business or any repeat clients again at all if you were doing, really kind of shoddy work. So instead, we're talking about how your clients are interacting with your firm when they need to ask you a question or answer one of yours, or they need to send a document, receive a document, sign something, even paying your invoices. These are all these client facing. Um, there are all these client facing things that you want to think about. What is that experience for that client? So this is where you need your pad of paper. We have some questions that you can ask. And then we have some best practices that you can focus on to really up your game. And the best part is you don't need to change any of your current accounting or bookkeeping or back office software. So hopefully everybody's happy with that. Reagan, do you have a question? I heard somebody come on.
Yes, it looks like we have a question. So
Yeah,
Richard Jessup asked if Licio is available in Canada.
it is. Yes, it is. And we have lots of Canadian clients. And we're, yes, very happy to be. I don't know if I forgot to tell you all that I'm Canadian. So we have an employee in Vancouver even. So, but yes, great question. Licio is definitely available in Canada.
And
Were
then
there any others, Reagan?
yes, we have one more. Chris DeWitt, he said, is there any way we can get the slides to download after the presentation?
I think so. Yes, we can work with Dave and send them out. Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no problem. We can send it out in a PDF, and you can have them. Yeah, to go through. Yeah. So can we carry on? Do you have any others, Reagan?
Nope, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you both for answering for asking those questions. So this first step in looking at your client experience and how to, in order to set yourself up to attract and retain these awesome clients is you need to understand where you are today. So we have 3 questions. Now, the first question you're going to ask yourself is the software you ask your clients to use easy for them to use? And um, we have a 1 minute exercise here. And Reagan, maybe you can help me with the timer. So what I want you to do is pull out a piece of paper and you're going to list the software that you ask your clients to use. And just cross off the ones that clients can use absolutely unassisted with no follow-up required. And the remaining ones are the problem ones. Those are the ones that you should consider replacing with better solutions. So let's give you 1 minute now. And Reagan, if you could set a timer, that'd be great. And
Starting it now.
let's have everybody just write down all the things that clients have to use in order to work with your firm. And I'm going to drink a little bit of coffee while you do that. In my amazing Ember mug that I can't stop talking about because I love it so much. Seriously, hot coffee on your desk in your mug. It's fantastic. Um, all right. How are we doing? Should I sing a little song? Can't get too goofy because I'm on camera here. All right, how are we doing, Reagan?
5 seconds left.
Okay, we're gonna count it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so hopefully you have a list of things, and I wonder, did you put email on there? If you did not, make sure email is in there because that is a tool that you ask your clients to use. Now, this is the second side of this. When we think about clients asking us questions or providing information that we need, how many different ways do they communicate with us? And you want to ask yourself, how many places do you have to look to find documents from clients? Now, this I've heard some very, very creative very creative ways. And I would love it if you would put in the chat now how many places you have to look for clients, for documents. I would just love that. Oops, actually, let's see. Reagan, is anybody putting anything in?
Not yet. We'll see if any come through.
Fire them in, guys. Put them in. What is the worst place, the oddest place that a client has sent you a document? I'm hoping somebody will share.
Looks like Carla Ferris. She said there's 3. One
3
person
places.
said yes.
Okay.
We have 3 from Tabitha.
Yeah.
2 from Robert.
Those are relatively low numbers. You guys are doing okay. You're doing all right. All right. Well, let's move on. It turns out there's an optimum level that is. So what happened was the client experience 1.0 firms. I think of those as the very traditional firms. I would guess that most of you are not working in a very traditional firm. Or you may have left a traditional firm to be more tech forward and have a bit more options. But what happened was the traditional firms, these are the ones where it's email, phone, some people are still using fax and getting things in snail mail. Okay, so you get it either through the mail or through a FedEx package or something, a physical document. Clients might be dropping things off too. There might be a little bit of that. So that's kind of traditional, but there is not a lot of other options. So it's just kind of like those are the ways. Now that doesn't mean that clients aren't going to go rogue, okay? Especially if they are texting you. And if clients are texting you, the little antennas on your head need to go up, because it means that there are virtually no boundaries between your personal and your work life. And those of you with staff, this is a huge concern. If someone is texting your staff and your staff person leaves, that client is going to go with that staff person. I mean, probably. I think about my hairdresser. My relationship was with the hairdresser, not with the salon. And so when she left, luckily I had her cell phone and I could find out where she went and I followed her there. So I think bookkeeping might be a similar kind of thing if you have because it's very relationship driven. So texting is a really big one. But to go back to this slide, what happened was people started leaving these or morphing these client experience 1.0 firms because there's really not a great client experience on that left-hand column. It's really about just very rigid in the firm and this is how we work. The middle was these tech forward firms wanted to add more. They would add more apps, they would add more, but they also have now a cacophony of places. So I was hoping that all the different places that you needed to, how clients communicate with you or give you information, email, they might be phoning you and giving you verbal information. You might get it through snail mail, electronic signature package. Maybe you've got your signature over here and the documents over here. You might have a portal. Texting, with pictures that then you have to do arts and crafts with. You might have an email encryption service, social media messages, WhatsApp, etc. There's just a lot of different places that you have to look. And then if you move to a client experience 2.0 model, you're going to really bring everything into one place. So you bring all your client communications into one, you end the texting 100%. You'll get much less email. You'll still want to talk to people on the phone. You'll still get some snail mail. You'll still get some. So it tames everything, but it's a much better experience for both sides of the coin. So the third question, as we're thinking this through, is, has your firm ever had a scary cybersecurity moment? And you might think, well, what does this have to do with retaining and attracting premium clients? Well, if you've had a cybersecurity moment, there is a disclosure that you have to make, and your reputation will be very seriously harmed. And it's difficult. It's very, very difficult to recover from this. It's also very expensive. So I think about email security. So, my mother was scammed. She's not, she is obviously older, but she's not an idiot. And it was so believable the scam that she was run through, that she very nearly wired $30,000 to a scammer. And it was only the fact that she was dealing with a reputable wire transfer company and they refused to send money to a Thai bank that it that it that it was stopped. But everything was so believable. Um, the accounting and bookkeeping industry is the only industry that I can think of that regularly asks clients to click a link in an email. And I want to kind of let that one, like, you could literally have someone take over your email. This happened to my friend Liz. She's a CPA in Texas, and she shares her story freely because it is such a frightening story. Someone got into her actual firm email account, and they were able to send out an email. They did it on a Sunday night. So, Liz was working with her family, not looking. They sent out this urgent thing that said, Intuit QuickBooks is payroll has been compromised. You need to log in now and change your password. Do this. Hi, it's Liz. Please do this really quickly. I'm sorry, I'm moving fast. This is really scary. I'm trying to, and it came from her actual email. So what ended up happening was the clients opened up the email. They saw it was from Liz. They used her vernacular, everything. It was her signature, her email. There was nothing in there that would make a spoof. And they basically did all log in, most of them, and they changed their passwords. And overnight, the scammers went in and ran payrolls and cleaned out the clients' bank accounts. So the security is a huge, huge big deal. And Reagan, I can hear you. Are there questions?
Yes, it looks like we have a great question from Larry
Yep.
Teal. He said, what is the common tech stack used with Liscio, specifically for project and due date tracking?
Oh gosh, that's a terrific question. Was it Larry? Yeah. So we like to say Liscio is an A-N-D. So the cool thing about Liscio is that it literally will work with anything you're using now. So I would say most of the bookkeepers out there are using either QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop, or Xero. They're using a modern accounting system. For project tracking, if you have a firm, we have people that are using everything from sort of Financial Sense on the kind of the smaller firm, all the way up to Carbon or Intuit Practice Management. Um, we have a whole pile of integrations that we have, so we could list those off at the appropriate time. But the cool thing is this really going to work with anything that you're using now. And the nice thing is you don't have to replace anything. So, and in fact, you may be able to eliminate a few. Like if you have an Adobe Sign or a DocuSign subscription, you won't need those because we have Adobe Sign built in. So hopefully that answered. If not, ask another question. And I'll hear a little subtle Reagan popping in and I can say, oh, there's a question. But back to security, this is a huge big deal. And this really needs to be, this really, really needs to be, to be able to attract and retain really great clients, you have to have that trust and it has to be, so you need to have bank level security built in. It needs to be automatic. It cannot be something that relies on the client to be a good citizen because the clients they don't have the same security awareness that you do. And if it can happen to Liz Alexander, my friend, it can happen to anyone because Liz is very security conscious. So the cool thing about if she was using Liscio, she wasn't, but if she was, the clients would have gotten an email and been immediately suspicious because Liz doesn't communicate with them over email. So they would have asked her. They would have probably picked up the phone and said, "Hey, is this legit? Like, what's going on?" Now, the problem with that one was it was a very deep one because they actually were communicating. Liz was actually communicating with the clients, and if they emailed back, the scammer would have said yes. So that was a very unique situation where they actually got into her email account. But if you train your clients, like the bank, your banks will send you something Your banks will send you something saying you have a message, but they will never email anything in the email, right? So that's the model that you really need to be thinking about is these cyber criminals are so smart and they are organized groups of people and they are businesses. They are actually scamming cybersecurity, cyber criminal businesses, and they are going after little people now. And the reason they are is because the volume of little people, it's much easier for them to get, 20% of them versus, the 5% of the big firms that they need. So you don't feel that I hope I'm not scaring you too much, but this is something that you really, really, really need to be aware of. So, so we've talked about step one, and that's understanding where you are, where your firm is. We covered some important points there. Now let's talk about your client's day, because the second step is you need to understand your client's day. So ask yourself what percent of clients are at their desk all day. And so I would love it if you would pop in, Reagan, if we could just have just a little quick informal poll here, if they could pop in and say, hey, what percent are at the desk all day? And probably think about in terms of like 0 to 25%, 26 to 50. But it'd be really great if I could get a little bit of a interactive answer here. Is anybody popping in?
Not yet. We'll see if they start popping in. Oh, someone said 0.
0% are at their desk all day. Okay, because you've got to, yeah,
Another 0. Another
another
0.
another 0. Okay, all right. So you folks are obviously working with very mobile clients. Okay, so you're going to really want to match your ask to what your clients can actually do. Now, this is a bakery in Alaska, and it's a really kind of a funny story because they actually use Lessio with their clients, which is hilarious. But they got it because their accountant used it with them, or their bookkeeper used it with them. But here is two gentlemen who own a bakery, AK Cake, and they're serving their clients all day. Now, their computer is actually on the one on the left. He's the main owner, and the other one on the right is the partner and business partner. And the one on the left is, I'm sorry, I should know his name, make it a little bit better story. But he deals with the kind of the business side of things, and he prefers to do it back at his home office. So if you asked him to send you something, he actually would have to leave the bakery and go. And so you need to match your ask to what your clients can actually do. Um, and you want to be thinking about client experience 2.0 in and because your clients they're experiencing it already. And I just pulled these three examples of other very different, very, very dramatically different organizations, companies that have moved to this, and you're experiencing it in your life too, and your clients are definitely. So if you look on the left, that's Bank of America. And they have this beautiful app, and you can transfer and send money, you can pay bills, you can deposit checks, you can ask questions, they'll answer you. Um, I think it's so game changing when the banks moved us to these beautiful apps. I would never, but I remember, I'm obviously old enough to remember when you had to get to the bank. I'm hoping some of you are laughing when I said that because I had to leave the office to get to the bank to do the deposits, because if I didn't, the deposits didn't get in. So we don't have to do that anymore. We just pull up the app, up, we're done. Beautiful. In the middle, that is the New York Times. And what is really cool about the New York Times is that in 2021, so that was last year, their digital revenue now exceeds their paper revenue. But what's really cool about it is you can still get you can still get a newspaper, just like I can still go to the bank. Okay, so these are additional ways for clients to for customers to interact with these brands that are really delightful and take nothing away from the other experiences. But what I personally love about having New York Times on my phone is that I can search an article or search a topic and it all comes up. So it's all available. Whereas if it was in paper, I'd be like, well, that's gone, right? And then over to the right, and Reagan, I hear we do have questions because you came off mute. Um, The Home Depot's app is next level, because you can actually text them and ask if they have a bucket of nails, and they will text back. So and you can put things in your shopping cart and then go in and pick them up, or you can have them delivered or whatever. It is a next level experience so your clients are already experiencing this. Reagan, were there any questions?
Yes, so we had another question from Larry Teal. He said, how do we get clients to stop emailing you when using Liscio?
Great question. Oh, Larry, you're queuing it up. So I'm going to give you guys a tip. What you do is you hit them with your security waiver. And so the first thing you do is if you're going to be moving to something like Liscio, you want to, first of all, let all your clients know that this is why you're doing it. You want to tell them why, for security purposes, to make it just easy and frictionless. So you make sure they understand the full benefits, that they'll be able to self-serve their documents. They'll be able to upload things whenever they get them. They don't have to wait and put them in a pile. They can ask and answer questions. They can sign documents. So you want to make sure that they understand the value for them. Now, your clients don't have to put it on their phone. That's the main thing that I think will happen, is people will be like, well, my clients don't want another app. Well, they're going to be more successful if they do put it on their phone or their tablet, but you could absolutely, there's a beautiful browser based, so Mac or PC, no problem. So you make sure they understand that, first of all. But the second thing is, we've embedded email inside Liscio. So if a client emails you in and you open it up inside Liscio, what can happen is you just answer back through Liscio. Okay. Now, if that client still goes back to email and keeps pestering you on email, and especially if they start sending you things that are, not secure, then what you do is you say, okay, I'm gonna call this this client Frank. Okay, Frank, we've given you several secure ways of dealing with our firm. We have the portal, we have email encryption, and we have Liscio. And Liscio is, of course, the easiest one for you, but you're refusing to use all three, and you're just blasting through in open emails. You say, I'm going to need you to sign our security waiver. and it's a scary document that says basically that they are choosing to communicate in insecure ways with the firm, and that they take all responsibility for any breach or problem that happens to their own personal finances, business finances, but also to the firm. And I tell you, no client will sign that. So that's a little tip for you. So let's go ahead and talk about the benefits for your firm. And here's what I want to do is just do a quick exercise, and we can actually answer any other questions if there are any, Reagan. I want everybody to do this quick. If you don't have time for this exercise, just take a screenshot of it. But want to list the total number of clients that you have. List the number that send things on time. Those are your non-problem clients. 1 minus 2 is the number of clients you have to chase. And then I want you to estimate the amount of time you spend per client chasing down documents. And this, if you multiply 3 by 4, this is the amount of time you could save. So let's give 1 minute. And are there any other questions that have come in, Reagan?
It doesn't look like it, but I will go ahead and set the timer.
Great, great. Yeah, so let's start getting you guys thinking about how much time you would save if your clients actually responded quickly and sent things in on time. So, but yeah, the security waiver is a power tip that we got from Linda Artesani, who is a bookkeeper. She's based out of Florida, but she has taught that tip all over the world. And the hilarious thing is she never actually had to create she deals with lawyers. That's what her firm is, but she never had to create the waiver. They were just like, oh, I'm not signing that. All right, then you need to behave in a secure way. So hopefully that helped.
It looks like we have a question from Lisa. Okay. She said, how can Liscio eliminate the chasing of documents?
Yes. So you send them a task. I'll show you that in a minute. But you send them a task through Liscio, and they get it on their hopefully on their phone. Just like if you look at your phone, you look at your home screen, and maybe you've got, Twitter or LinkedIn, your Teams or your Slack or whatever. You'll see a little number. The client will be ping, and they get a little number. And so they get a notification on their phone. And then they can just click and see very quickly what it is. They can log in with their face, so it's super easy, or with Google or with Microsoft OAuth, or they can do username and password. So we have like 4 different ways for them to log in, super simple. And they just see what you are asking for, what you're asking them for. And so what ends up happening is if it's a document, they can actually use the mobile scanner. I'm going to show you a little bit. But the system reminds, it auto badgers, so you don't have to. So you ask, you put in the tasks for your clients, and the clients love. They actually love doing their tasks. They'll come back and go, I did all my tasks. And then you go, yay. And they really love it. So it's like, it feels like a little bit of a game to them. All right, so let's go ahead and move on for this one. I think we've spent about a minute, haven't we? I want you now to think about what you'd spend that time on. And I love this visual of an extended family and friends just having a good time on a beach, because I think that for me is this is what I would spend my time on. I'd be doing a little bit more travel, just basically just having a better life. But you might want to spend time with just your family or your friends. You might want to have time where you can fit in a really regular, maybe it's an exercise class, maybe it's you want to go to a dance class, maybe you want to learn a foreign language, whatever. The point is that the time is, or maybe you just want to have less late nights, and maybe just go home at the end of the day feeling like everything's organized and it's not like all in your head and keeping you awake. So this answer is different for every person that you ask. It's a very personal question, but you really should be thinking about it. And I think I've made a pretty good case that your firm's client experience is everything. So I wanted just to show you just a few quick little screenshots of why Liscio it's a great choice, but also how we can help you to not only attract the great clients because they're going to be looking for an app, they're going to be looking for this premium experience that you can give them. Um, there's these, but more importantly, you're going to have a great staff experience. Or if it's just you, you're going to significantly get everything, the noise and everything under control. So there's full visibility across clients. There's built-in mobile scanner that people love to use. The scanner is really great because you get an actual PDF. You don't get a JPEG. And the secure invite only aspect of Liscio is really important because in Liz's story that I was telling earlier, her clients would have known it wasn't from her because she would have sent a task out through Liscio. And if she had to send a task to all her payroll clients in Liscio, she could do that with a couple of clicks. She'd have her clients, tagged as payroll, pull them up, send that out, boom, done and out. And the clients would receive it as an individual. They wouldn't know it was a blast. And then the other thing is we have integrated billing and payments, which is the other place that there's quite a bit of worry about fraud, is that if you're sending your client an email with a link to pay, that's obviously a place where scammers and cyber criminals could get in there and divert funds. And they're getting so good at mimicking and, you just, most people can't tell. So this is what it kind of looks like, it just looks like a text that you're doing. So instead of emailing and waiting for a response, Liscio will allow you to securely message your clients instead. It's encrypted at rest and in transit, so always encrypted. But this is basically what it looks like for them to scan a document. And you see how we do the corners? We just corner it nicely. If it was done askew, Liscio would straighten it and make it really beautiful. And so you're going to get these paper documents really fast. If it's a document that's available electronically, they can just drag and drop onto their computer. So they could just log into the computer version, the browser version, and drag and drop from there. So it's super easy. And if you have multiple page scans, no worries, you just keep going. It's just multiple page. It'll make all one nice little PDF. So, and then this is an example I want to go back to, and I'm sorry, I was it Larry's question about the tech stack. So the reason that Liscio works so well with everything is we have this little GUGAD called Liscio Dispatch. And Liscio Dispatch allows you to essentially print, I'm putting in my little bunny ears, print to PDF and just drag it into the, and it just goes, and Liscio will listen. Like if you, this is a widget that you have to install. It only works on the desktop version. So Mac or PC, you install it on your computer. And you're going to be working on your computer mostly. Like the mobile version for the firms is awesome and amazing. You'll probably only use it for when you are out and about. Maybe you need to go pick up your kids. You might answer some client questions on Liscio or send them some tasks while you're in the lineup, waiting for your kid to get in your car or something like that, right? But the point is that this is a total game changer because you're going cloud to cloud. So think about how you'd have to do to get this P&L to your client. Let's assume they're not in QBO, right? Let's assume you're full service and you're just giving them the reports. So if they are not in QBO self-serving these reports, you can literally just print it directly in, and then they get a ping on Liscio. Hi, Reagan, here are your financials. Here's your, profit loss for, the period covering. I've noticed this, would like to talk to you about this particular thing. Got some questions or got some suggestions moving forward. Let's make an appointment. And you can even we have an integration with Zoom. They can even actually just book through right onto your, right onto your, what am I trying to say? Your calendar. So it's like really, really great integration there to make it really quick, and take a lot of the friction out. But most importantly, you're not downloading, putting it in the portal, composing a link, sending it to the client loses the link or link expires, client doesn't check their email. You're just literally putting it. And then the other thing that's really awesome about this is that it is stored in their file section on Liscio so they can find it later. And that's really interesting because what a lot of bookkeepers are finding is that once they bring their clients really in and the clients start using Liscio, they start interacting with it and going back and looking at financials and things that are in there. And when we get you started, we can actually load in whatever it is that you need for each client. So that's part of your setup, and you can there's a fee for that, but it just depends on how much data you want. But basically, we'll work with you to make sure that you've got what you need in there so that when clients go in that first time, they can see everything that you want them to see. But the biggest thing is that anything that you can print to PDF. So to go back to Larry's question, you just think about how you do your work. Even if it's in Excel can print to PDF. You can send that, right? So anything you print to PDF can be sent to clients securely in one step using Liscio Dispatch. And then Liscio gives you this full visibility to all your outstanding clients and your staff tasks. So that's really, really awesome. You can just see this is the full view of all of the open tasks for the firm. You can also do, if you have a team, you can also assign certain clients to certain team members. So some of you have larger firms, some of you are just solos. So, and then this is where, to answer, I think it was Lisa's question about keeping clients on track. And Liscio will send text alerts and automated mobile reminders for any overdue tasks. And so the client will understand, oh, I've got oh, I need to sign the engagement letter. And you can just review and sign it right there. Done. I can sign it on my phone. Super easy. So that is the end of my presentation, and I hope you've come away with some nuggets there. We've got time for questions. So that's my presentation but I wanted to make sure that you understand what your next steps are. And you're going to really look at really spend time defining your premium client. Who do you like to work with? Who pays you? Who fits with your firm? Who's responsive? Evaluate where your firm stands now. Those are those 3 questions that I had you ask. It would be great if you did schedule a demo of Liscio because we can show this just show this in action. And then you're going to want to roll out that Client Experience 2.0 in your firm, and it's a pretty easy rollout. We're going to give you templates to invite your clients. And one thing I didn't mention was that there's unlimited storage and unlimited tech support for you and your clients. So if you have a client that's just not getting it, you say, hey, let's get you some time with the Liscio team and they'll help you. And then we don't charge per client. So we only charge for the firm. So it's pretty good value. Dawn Brolin, who you might know, you might be aware of, she actually says, I bought an app. I bought an app to make it easy for my firm to work with you and for you to work with my firm. And clients were like, what? I don't have to pay? Nope, nope, you don't have to pay. It's a fee that the firm pays just for the firm users, and we can put as many clients on as we want, and it's secure and easy. And then people are like, oh, I love it. So I hope this was interesting to you. I want you all to be able to attract and retain those premium clients and just also just have a better life. So that's what really I'm all about. So Reagan, let's go ahead and ask and basically get if there's any questions, let's go ahead and cover them.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a couple questions. The first is, are there any plans for Listio to integrate with Pure Workflow?
Pure Workflow. I do not know the answer to that, but I think our integration plan is so it would depend on, okay, a couple things. This is how we look at it. First of all, it depends on, do they have webhooks? Can we integrate with them? So if Pure Workflow integrates with a lot of other things already, then the answer is probably we could do it. The second thing is how many people are asking. So I would say that having not heard of that one would be down the line a little bit. But I think what would be great for you to think about is, what would you need? What would you need, Lissio? What jobs would you need the two to do together? And we can have a chat with you. The experts, the product experts that you would speak with in our in the demo will be able to kind of show you what you do with the documents and information that you get through Listio and where you might want to flow them through to wherever you're going with that. Great question, though.
And then another question was, do clients need to have an account?
They do, and you invite them, but you don't pay for it. You don't pay for it. Yeah. And the reason that clients need to have an account is that Listio is it's a really, really big database on the back end, really is what it is. And so what happens is that each client needs their own account so that they can go in and just see their own stuff. Okay. And then when you've invited them, you get to see them. You get to see all of your clients, right? Kind of just if you think about QuickBooks Online Accountant or QuickBooks Online, kind of think about the difference there. In QBOA, you see everything. In QBO, the client just sees their own stuff. It's the same kind of metaphor there. But they do need an account, because otherwise what's going to happen is you won't be able to message them through the system unless they can receive it. They won't be able to send you documents through the system unless they have an account. So yes, great question. Other thing is, you don't have to pay for their account though. So you literally could have 1,000 clients and your fee would still be the same. And the storage is not something you need to worry about either. The other thing I didn't mention while we're talking about this is big files. So some of you still have clients for very valid reasons that are on desktop software. And those are really tricky because some of those files are really Mac Daddy big. So any single file in Listio can be up to 5 gigabytes. That's not the file size limit overall. That's the single file limit. So you could send a little video. You could send a QuickBooks Enterprise file. You could send a really big, I don't know what else, but you could send a really, really, really big file through Listio. And it is secure and it'll be in the secure environment. And the reason we went with no charge for storage is because storage is cheap. And what we do is we just add more, at Amazon Web Services, we just add more racks. We just add another. They just add more for us. So it's pretty good. Any other questions, Reagan?
We had one more about integrations, and that would be with ClickUp.
With ClickUp. Yeah, ClickUp is one that we're looking at. ClickUp is a very interesting, we have a lot of people that use ClickUp. Michelle Vilms is a bookkeeper in Boston, and you might want to just Google her and go to her website, because she has a lot of templates that you can just buy. And she uses Listio with ClickUp. And what she uses is Listio as kind of just everything client facing. And then and then she takes the information and she's basically got a process to get it. She sets it up and ClickUp, and then they move on from there, and that's how they manage everything. So Michelle would be a really good, and she's a bookkeeper. She would be a very good resource for you to take a look at. And I wanted to mention a couple of resources here. So Reagan, if you could share in the chat how to book a demo. Just pretty simple. You go to Liscio.me. It's not .com or .org. It's .me, and you just choose demo. But Reagan will share the demo link. But we do have a couple of resources on screen for you. And so we've got our client experience assessment test, and it's a really short quiz. You can take it and see where you land, and you'll get some great resources. So that's a really good step. And then if you want to sharpen the tools that you already own, you can join the Grove, which is an accountants and bookkeepers cooperative library. And it's on Circle. So those of you who've used Circle as a platform before, you might be a member of various Circle communities. We're using it in a slightly different way. We're using it as essentially a library, and we're solving the how-to gap. So when you go in there, the focus is all going to be on step-by-step how-to stuff. It's really deep and really rich. And down the line, there may be some sort of premium type play where some of the material might be gated and there might be a fee to see it. But right now, everything is open. So go in, get a membership, get a free membership, and there's tons of stuff in there that you're going to be able to enjoy. So Liscio.me/thegrove-bookkeepers. Go there, and then I think that is it for me. We do have a couple of minutes left if there's any other questions, or Dave, if you want to come on mic, and yeah, any other questions?
It looks like we don't have any more questions. I have went ahead and go put all those links in there. It looks like we had someone say that they have already scheduled a demo.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for that. I have to tell you all, I just love bookkeepers. I am a bookkeeper at heart. You go so above and beyond for everything that you do. And what I really want to do is give you a better life and more joy. And you're already a pretty happy group. So, because you do get so close with your clients, and that has obviously a plus and minus because sometimes it's really painful. But I do want to get you in control of your day and feeling like the time that you're spending is really valuable. And I think that is where, when you shift your energy towards that, the pieces start to fall really into place, and you end up with this balance. And you also, the other thing I want to say is double your fees. So I want to leave you on that. All right. I think we are at the hour.
Yep, you are good to go ahead and end, and we will chat with everybody later.
All right. Thanks. Dave, are you going to go ahead and end this?
He said he's not going to come on, and you can just go ahead and leave the live. Yep.
All right. Just go ahead and stop sharing.